In Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, Jesus said to his disciples, "Come to me, all you that are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." These verses are verses that have been important to me over my years. Especially there are verses that I've said to people when they're facing death and worrying about how do I go on this day when I am burying my loved one? How is it that I go on when I've just lost my job and I'm not sure what's going to happen to me? How do I go on when I'm sick and facing this surgery and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next? So many people have felt this sense of carrying a heavy burden. And yet Jesus comes to us and gives us these great words, "Come to me, come to me." So much of the time we think that we're facing this battle all by ourselves, and we're thinking it's about me and what I need to do and what I need to get through, instead of turning ourselves and our burdens and our problems over to God and letting God carry us. Because that's the promise that Jesus gives to us. And we hear about it in this passage from Matthew, but we also hear about it in the Psalm this week. We hear it about in the Romans lesson. It's there for us that Jesus is the one. It is through him that we know where to go. Because Jesus comes through us that we can have the power and the strength to live this day, and we can move on to tomorrow. And so you may be feeling like this is the week that you are carrying a heavy burden. Turn those things over to God. Learn from him. Follow in his ways. He continues by saying, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." When we think about the yoke, we often think about the oxen who are carrying a yoke and therefore being able to pull a heavy burden. But during Jesus' day, that understanding of the yoke also was the thing that they used to describe what does it mean to follow Christ's law, for God's law? What does it mean to follow the Torah, or the first 5 books of the Old Testament? How do we do that in a good way? And the Hebrew understanding was, well, we take that on as our yoke. It's a sign of obedience. And Jesus says, well, the yoke of the obedience to the law isn't a difficult yoke for us because it's a yoke that Jesus carries for us. He makes our ways easy. He makes the burden that we're carrying and be light. So remember that as well as you hear these great words from Matthew chapter 11, 25 through 30, that Jesus is going to be with us carrying our burden. And when our burden is carried, then we can do great and wonderful things. For we know that it is through Jesus that we are able to complete all of our tasks. God be with you in this week. Amen.